ZenHabitats is one of the most well-known reptile enclosure brands. They make these beautiful PVC enclosures that are bamboo printed. They also make them in plywood, and you can get them in a 4x2x2 or a 2x2x2. So they make really excellent enclosures for a wide variety of species, anywhere from ball pythons and bearded dragons to crested geckos, anywhere in that spectrum. And I use mine right now for a young reticulated python. But one of the questions that you hear a lot with the ZenHabitats enclosures is, do they hold up? Are they worth the money in the long run? So I'm bringing you guys my 1-year review of the ZenHabitats 4x2 by 1.5 foot enclosure. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So I bought this enclosure for about $250 US, and when you buy their enclosures they have free shipping, so you don't have to pay the shipping cost. Like on one of my Boa Master is my other PVC enclosure, I had to pay like $50-ish shipping after I bought the enclosure. So ZenHabitats cuts that out. And ZenHabitats and that Boa Master, the ZenHabitat is half the price of the Boa Master 4x2 by 1.5 foot enclosure that I have my ball python in currently. Alright, right away with the pros. It's a pretty sturdy enclosure. You can see it's pretty solid. It's not shaking around in the frame. A lot of people claim that they're flimsy and just fall apart if you hit them. Mine has never just fallen apart on me. It has worked beautifully. So as long as you put them together correctly, you're not going to have issues with them just falling apart on you. Another thing that I like that they include in this enclosure is that little socket in the back. I haven't personally used it, but it's there in case you wanted to like hang lighting or run anything that needs wires into the enclosure. You can just plug the hole. It comes with two different plugs. One of them is a solid one, that's what I'm using, and the other one is more flexible. It has some cuts in it so that you can push wires through. I don't use that one, well, for one, because I don't have anything that plugs in here, and two, the snake that's in here could easily escape if he had a way to push out of it. So keep that in mind, of course. Depending on the species, you might want to keep that plugged up. But if you're using it for like a bearded dragon or blue-tongued skink, not going to be an issue whatsoever. I also really do like the PVC like bamboo paneling. You obviously can't see it because I did do a foam background in here to make it bioactive. You can do that. You can't take it apart if you do that, but that's not an issue with me, so keep that in mind. If you need to take it apart for any reason, don't foam in the backgrounds at the corners, obviously, because it'll just be really difficult to get off, and then you'll have to destroy your background to get the enclosure apart. And another thing that I really like is, while a lot of other enclosures are PVC, and while this does have the metal edges on it, it is still one of the lightest PVC enclosures that I have ever carried. I'm able to just hoist even this one with the new phone background and log in it. I can just throw it over my shoulder and it's no big deal. I also love the screen top that they have on this enclosure. It's really great. It has braces in the middle of it so that you can, again, hang things if you want in it. I used to have a pothos hanging in there just to brighten it up, and the pothos died. This pothos is not dead yet. It's been squished because there's a reticulated python in here and he crushes everything. And now with this enclosure, I actually only have two cons. The first one isn't even really a con because the company fixed it immediately. I noticed that the middle of my lid was starting to rust. So I sent them an email, sent them pictures showing that it was rusting, and asked if that's normal on their enclosures. And they emailed right away, said, no, that definitely shouldn't be happening. We'll send you a new lid on Monday. So good on them. They got it right to me, and I put it in right away. I was less than a week, like between sending the email and getting the new screen top in. And the other con is really just my own stupidity. Don't put a tegu in there. I had my tegu in here while I was building that big chongus of a plywood enclosure, and he beat up that glass. Whereas the glass I put down here, or it's really acrylic, it's not really glass. It hasn't scratched at all with him in there, but he just did a number on this. It's kind of hard to see in through all of it, but you can also buy replacement doors. So, but if you're keeping like a bearded dragon or a blue-tongued skink or a snake, any snake in here, they're not going to scratch up the glass like this tegu did. He's very food motivated. When you just grab the handle of his enclosure and start to open it, he's lunging out for food. But yeah, I'm gonna have to buy me some replacement doors because they do sell replacement doors on their website. Alright, so overall, absolutely, the ZenHabitats is worth the money, and it does definitely hold up long term. I've had this one for, well, actually it's closer to 18 months now, and I love it. I'm very happy with this purchase, and I would highly recommend ZenHabitats to anybody who wants to get one. Alrighty, if you enjoyed this video in any capacity, please click like if you haven't done so already. Highly consider subscribing to the Repti-verse. New videos now whenever I can make them, hopefully twice a week again. In the description box below, you'll find a link to the Discord server, a link to the Patreon, and a link to go support US Arc. That's about all I have for you guys. So, peace out, YouTube.